right, we're back for the new year, man.
Man, 2021, Mitch. 2021.
I see we are both in our respective water holes.
AKA my house.
That's right. I'm drinking at the job, as one could view. So
I don't trust getting out right now more than ever, man. The first 6 days of the year has already been just as wild as probably the last half of 2020 with everything going on. I don't trust nobody right now.
Yeah, it's what a mess, man.
Well, we're just looking forward to, putting 2020 behind us and starting the new year off on, a fresh, clean start. And then you got people in costumes storming capitals, and then you've got, the surge from coronavirus from people not being, safe when they're visiting their family, and then you have New Year's incidents. It's just it's only been 10 days into the new year. Had to look at my calendar, and it's already been a wash, man.
Yeah, the severity of 2021 is looking worse already.
Yeah.
Especially for American people.
Yeah. Not all of us are this way. Just wanted to let everybody know that we're not all what the TV shows us as.
That's right. The aliens are just watching this saying, "Oh my God, what a great season. What the fuck?"
Maybe we should pass by Earth this year too, and we'll try again next year.
That's right. When's the next meteor passing?
Yeah, we'll do that one then. But good news is we're drinking beer today.
That's right.
And the being stuck in our perspective, I like that watering hole, as you like to call it, is not necessarily a bad thing, because I know you keep a pretty decent amount of supply on hand with you. I've been to your workspace before, and you're not short on anything good, and I've got a lot stacked up at the house too. And I think the goal really today is drink beer. We're talking about the new year and how it looks for beer, and just kind of talk about how we're going to support local breweries and what you can find there. I think that's the name of the game today, right? It's just local watering holes.
Yes.
And how we can get on board with supporting them during this time.
Definitely. And, it's funny. I've already chosen my beers that I wanted to drink because I've had these for a while, but they're not local.
No.
But they could be local if you live in Chicago.
Yes. Chicago was a fun trip. I'm excited to see. So you've already, by the time this gets posted, it'll be a little while after the fact, but you've already posted the beers on our Instagram page at the Foamy Heads. It looks good. I've had them both before. I think you're in for a real treat, but do you want to kind of foreshadow with what you're drinking today before we kick things off?
Definitely. I've got the Alive in Its Jaws by Half Acre Beer Company. Those listening to us are probably pretty familiar with Half Acre. I've had several of their beers, but I can't say I've had many of their beers this past year. So it's just been curious. They distribute here, I think, right, into Nashville.
I think I've seen a few of their beers. I have not seen this one.
Right. And I've never actually paid attention to their logo much. I've always seen it just print Half Acre Beer on their cans when I've seen them, but I don't recognize the logo. I'm looking at it now, and it's got an owl and tentacles.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad. But
it's different.
Yeah. But their can work is clean, man. The label on it is nice and kind of pop arty. I really enjoy it. And it's a double dry hopped double India Pale Ale. So that is going to be interesting.
I'm looking at the page that you've got pulled up on our meeting right now, and I'm looking at, it's got Galaxy, it's got Citra, Sabro. We were kind of talking about that beforehand. I've had Sabro hops before. I can't remember whether or not you said you have, but I don't necessarily know what they taste like. I know I've just had it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never even smelled, Sabro hops before they're dropped in, so I don't know what to expect from them. Excuse me. These two were double dry hop, double India Pale Ale, if I'm not mistaken. The two I've chosen, but one's a double hazy at least.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just super excited to get back into having a beverage, man. the holidays are over. The grind is back as far as business goes. So I'm excited for what this year has in store for beer.
Oh yeah.
I heard you pouring over there.
Yeah.
That was a nice heavy pour.
I just jumped right in. I didn't want to wait any longer. So I'm drinking something that is also not local. I'm drinking a Trim Tab New England IPA Grand Prismatic, which is double dry hopped IPA, Mosaic, Montuca, and Galaxy hops. So
Galaxy hop.
yeah, Galaxy. I love Galaxy hops. Mosaic. Mosaic is one of those hops that I initially didn't go for. But then Bearded Iris kind of changed the whole game for me with their home style, which is just straight Mosaic, single hop. And then that's when I started understanding what Mosaic hops tasted like. And since then, I've been a fan. So anytime I see a beer with Galaxy and or Mosaic, I'm probably going to pick it up because that's just the way I like it. But yeah, Trim Tab based out of Alabama. And I'm trying to remember the city that they're based out of. Birmingham. Yeah. So not local to us, just like yours is not local, but Trim Tab is a little bit easier to get than Half Acre in this area. Not to say that Half Acre doesn't distribute because we've seen it, but there's definitely a lot more Trim Tab in the area than there is Half Acre.
Way more prevalent. They're on the shelf and in your face a lot more often.
Yeah, no, it's that's great, and I love the fact that we have these breweries that are starting to it wasn't always like that. We had these breweries that can, first you had beer that just distributed nationwide, like your Budweisers and your Coors and Miller and all that, where you could just get it anywhere you went. And then these smaller places started cropping up, and then the name of the game was mass distribution. Let's take all of our beer, let's make 5 different kinds of beers and let's just blow it out everywhere. And then people kind of got tired of the same old beers and they wanted something different. So now you're seeing breweries constrict and only coming out with just a few beers, and now they're starting to open up again and take good beers and start to distribute it. So this is a weird time to be a brewery right now. And then in the midst of all that, you've got a pandemic, and you've just got a lot of shit going on in this world. So there's all these complications that are hindering these breweries from distributing and making their profits, that they're having to come up with unique ways to get their beer out. And that's good for us because, we're always finding unique ways to get their beer, but it's causing them to think on their feet a little bit. That beer looks really good that you poured.
Yeah, dude, it's got a big foamy head. It's got a very floral kind of smell to it, too.
Hold that up again. Oh, that looks... I don't know if it's the lighting, but it looks very... it's super hazy looking, but like
it is.
Grapefruit juice hazy, not like... Does not look clean at all.
Yeah, man. There's even a little bit of sediment in here, so... I'm looking forward to getting into it. I'm going to take a bite. Because it really is. It looks like an OJ of some sort.
That looks really good. I poured mine as well. That foamy head, you can see on mine, it's still there. It hasn't even moved yet. But that's Trim Tab. Their foam likes to stay around for a long time.
Got that protein.
Yeah.
If there's one take I could take from all of our things last year that we did, recordings, interviews, and stuff, it was that foamy head retention is all thanks to protein.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. We found that out because we were pouring. Can't remember who it was. We were pouring a beer, and we were posting about it, and then we got a direct message from them, apologizing for the protein count being too low, and they thought they had counted for that. We didn't necessarily mean it as a bad thing. I think we even went back and mentioned that it was a good thing. The foamy head was there, that it dissipated rather quickly, so we could actually get into it. We were taking it as a good thing. But in the process, the brewers actually reached out to us and were like, hey, we'll have to account for that in our next batch. We apologize. And we're like, don't apologize. You make really good fucking beer. I'm going to take a sip on mine.
Do it, man. This one's it's nice and it's got a bitter taste. I say that every time I have an IPA. I feel like it's like, duh, of course.
It's an
That's what I'm
IPA.
getting into. It's what I expect. But man, it's also got that hazy tongue feel. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a nice little foam bedding laying onto my tongue. Interesting.
I wish I had more of that beer that you're drinking because I've had it before and it was great.
Yeah, I can definitely tell the hopped, like the extra amplitude from the double dry hop. That's double dry hop, double India Pale Ale. That's it's almost got more body to the hoppy flavor. You can almost chew it.
Ooh.
That's how that's what I'm getting from this one. It's got a nice little subtle personality, but it's full of that flavor. It's like I am kind of feeling like I'm eating bread. It's heavy, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it.
Do you remember what the ABV was on it? I can't remember. It was a while ago when I had it.
8.5.
8.5. Okay, that's pretty good. That's nothing to balk about, and you know it's heavier and it's double dry hop and it's super hazy. That's a good amount. No wonder it's a little bit heavier.
Man, I'm liking it. I'm digging it.
I'm drinking this Grand Prismatic right now, Mitch.
Grand Prismatic.
Trim tab, double dry hopped, double IPA with Mosaic Galaxy and Matuka hops. Mosaic Galaxy, Matuka, and 6.5% ABV. Let me look up the IBU count on it to see if I can. I don't know what the IBU count is on it. It's actually a little bit more bitter than most trim tabs that I've had before, and I wonder if that's the Matuka hop that's in there, just because I know Mosaic is, you know, it's juicy, but it's not super hoppy. Galaxy is kind of wet hopish tasting. It's very fresh, but it's not. This is a little bit more bitter than other trim tab New England IPAs that I've had. So I wonder if it's the Matuka hops, because I'm not familiar with them.
This now that I've let my palate kind of rest after drinking this, it kind of tastes like a dirtier hop. It tastes more like soil or
Earthy.
earthy. That's it. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's an attractive word.
No, I typically don't go for earthy kind of. Are you talking about when you were drinking your Alive in Its Jaws?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't remember. Of course, it's been a while. I just remember really liking it, but I historically haven't gone for earthy flavors. So I wonder if I experienced that when I had it, or maybe if my palate was just kind of feeling different that day.
I wonder.
I don't know.
But it also, I mean, some beers taste completely different depending if I've ate something beforehand. And, you know.
Yeah.
I really wish I had some Zilla's barbecue right now.
Oh,
It'd be perfect. Oh my god.
I could go for some brisket, or I could even go for some. You know, with what I'm drinking right now, having some chicken scratch, some fiery chicken scratch wings from Thunderbird would kind of hit the spot for me right now. I love me some Zilla barbecue. You know, those go great with IPAs. They go great with stouts.
Super good with stouts. Oh.
Yeah, super good with stouts. IPAs, I want white meat with IPAs, and right now I'm really craving some chicken wings from Thunderbird right now.
So to digress a little bit, I think that's the word. The beer's starting to tickle. I guess this was 3 or 4 years ago, but we ordered a whole party tray from Trace at Thunderbird, and we were able to, at the time, a lot of tap rooms that we were going to locally would allow you to bring in food. so that you could have food with your drink. And
Yep.
they didn't offer any food. And if they did, it was a food truck that planned ahead. So, man, those were good days. And there was only the one location for Southern Grist, and Bearded Iris was a new thing too, I think, at that time. And I just remember us toting around that tray. It was what, 30
Yeah.
smoked thighs.
It was ridiculous.
Oh, it was awesome though. We picked it up from Trace, and then we just went around bar hopping with a tray of chicken.
Yeah.
And we even went to a cigar shop and then placed it down and then ate more there while we smoked and drank some more.
And then I think we finished up at Craft Brewed when we were done.
Yeah.
And we brought the tray in there, and there were people that looked at us because at the time I don't think they were serving food because they let us in with the food, and they said, "Is that Thunderbird wing?" Like they immediately recognized the smell of
Yeah.
Thunderbird wings.
Thunderbird used to post up a lot there with their truck.
Right.
But the truck, I think, fell apart engine-wise or something kept going wrong. So that kind of went away to the, it became an aside if it ever got fixed. But
Yeah.
God, man, that was
Just catering now.
yeah.
He's just doing catering now. But I know there was talks with Trace at some point. He wanted to do a storefront. Of course, he's getting pretty big right now with his chicken scratch. He has his early bird brine. He's got his white bird sauce. Then of course he's got two different variants of the chicken scratch. He's got the regular, and then he's got the fiery. I prefer the fiery, but that's just because I like spicier food. But if you just take out the spice element, that's the regular chicken scratch. That's phenomenal as well.
Yeah. It's sweet, it's got a little heat, and it's got a lot of savory taste to it. To me, it's a pretty complicated kind of seasoning. It doesn't have just one character you can focus on. It's got a wonderful blend. I can't brag enough about it. I don't know how long it took them to make it or figure out the right ratios, but it's slamming.
And I literally just remembered the name. I'm trying to remember the name of his rub, his dark rub that he has. It's got like a Mexican chocolate in it. Mitch, it's for beef or dark meat. It's not necessarily for chicken. Bravo rub.
Bravo rub.
Bravo for beef.
That's right.
That was his I put that on brisket one day and it was amazing. I actually put it on ribs too, and it was really good.
Yeah, Bravo. I've actually used it on kale for kale chips as well.
Really?
It was great. It was a good addition to it. So I'm ignoring my caloric intake today with these beers, but I've worked really hard on making this body what it is the past few years with beers.
You don't want to abandon it now.
That's right. I got to give it a little attention every now and then. But,
No, absolutely.
But, I do need to work on my habits. So today is a wonderful day because I haven't had any beer all week. So, it's awesome. I'm eating lunch right now.
Nice. That's good.
Damn it. I typoed on that post.
That's okay.
It's all, I know. It's just like, I typo a lot when I'm on my phone. I've got, I don't know, my dexterity with the keyboards on phones just sucks.
Just sucks.
But, it's all good.
You were drinking beer when you made that post, so it's all good.
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to be making more, so there might be more typos. That's what's fun about social media. It really brings the crowds out who point out your face.
It really does bring the crowds out, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Virtually, as it were, because nobody can get out very much right now. Although, the country is starting to slowly open back up, at least in our area. We're seeing breweries kind of open up safely. They're starting to, people are staying away. We've got breweries in the area that haven't quite opened up their tap rooms yet. They're only doing to go. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's run down some of the places in the area. Now that 2020 is behind us, we're getting into 2021. We have a big year for the Foamy Heads planned. We've got multiple people that we want to talk to. I know we've got the Mythos Club from Living Waters that we're excited to. We both joined in on that the day it was released, so we'll be getting some special beers from them. So as we kind of transition out of a shitty 2020 and move into the new year, I think it's only fair to talk about what these breweries are doing to kind of help the consumer stay safe, but also at the same time allow themselves to stay open, because we know it hasn't been a good year for them. 2020 was terrible. And hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel.
It was a fucking mess, man. Pardon my French. But this whole thing, man, it's nuts. But we don't want to stay on that subject too much. But it is, everyone hears about it every day, and there's much more reliable sources of information. But damn it, now I've worked myself into a corner. Educate yourself on the subject matters.
Yes.
Don't just read and go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. You need to read and you need to learn. You need to be observant, critically think. There's a lot of factors going into what's going on, and you need to be smart about it. So.
Yep. And looking at, I would assume, and we've kind of along that subject of reading, liquor, beer, wine, I'm sure most of those guys celebrated record profits,
yeah, they did
during 2020. And that's not to say breweries had record profits during 2020. That's to say liquor stores, beer stores, places that you can get like curbside to go, or you can order and it'll have delivery,
bottle shops
fall into the small, I'm looking at your screen. It says, they fall into the small business category. So you would think
support from like everything, liquor to beer.
Yes.
The assortment.
So that helped them a lot.
Yeah.
During the year, they can do curbside, they can do, a lot of times they can do delivery through these apps like Drizzly and all of these. So these are the people that, and I don't want to say they didn't struggle, because I'm assuming a lot of them did, but they bounced back a lot quicker.
Yeah. I think everyone had a struggle, especially during the prominent lockdown period. But, bottle shops have a higher recovery rate than the local brewery areas, or where you should, or you could mean where your dollar goes a lot further. They suffered more than places like the bottle shop. So
yeah,
because you have to go out of your way to hit your favorite places versus going to the bottle shop where you can go and it's a one-stop kind of thing. You can just grab a grocery cart and go, I want that in here and at home. It's like it's a brainless maneuver. But if you really want to like push your dollar, you got to go to the businesses you want to push your dollar to. So, be it food trucks or, we push $1 to Zilla's Barbecue. We push $1 to Living Waters Brewery, Proper Sake, and all the little water holes, however fuck you're supposed to say it. I'm going Ricky right now. But, I make a point currently, ever since 2020, to go directly to the places where I want to spend my money, because it's just such a shitstorm still. We got another year of it probably, so I would just get used to it and go do it. But it's not bad to go support your bottle shop, because obviously they need help too.
Right. And that's, that kind of goes back to the whole everybody struggled in 2020. You know, at my place of employment, there were a few months where I didn't think my key card was going to work when I came into work, you know, that day. And that was more like March, April-ish when we were at the bottom. But everybody struggled, you know, and then there was this sudden surge when we tried to open everything back up. And, you know, sales started increasing and doing all this. But the one, well, there's multiple, but I think the one that we are most interested in, being that we are a beers and barbecue podcast, you know, and cigars at times, I think the one that we see the most that hasn't quite opened up all the way is breweries.
Right.
And that's different from watering holes. That's different from bottle shops, because like you hinted at earlier, a bottle shop is where you can go to get, you know, 6, 8, 10, 12 different beers virtually if you want to put it in your cart and have it delivered to you. Or, you know, once they open back up, you can walk in with a mask and get what you need and check out. They can control who's in there. Breweries are a little different because, you know, most of their sales rely on the tap room when people are in there sitting down close to each other, drinking beers from the tap, and they just weren't able to do that most of the year last year.
It's been a trip. There's been another rise in something else too, and I'm still not sure. I haven't really pinpointed when it updated, changed. I haven't done any research, but I'm going to talk about it. Online distribution of beers to your doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried many. I don't know if you've tried any, but I've picked one this year that I'm going to try. They haven't shipped anything, so I don't know if Tennessee's allowing it yet. But, I mean, I got beer from the UK, so
nice.
Surely Tennessee's letting it happen. But,
yeah,
you know, Tennessee's been a complicated state for many years until the past 5 years. And I still just haven't, because I'm not in the business. I don't know what, you know, I don't stay up to date to it. But the day job takes away from my dream job. But it's one of those things where I'm curious, you know, how many people now that, you know, originally spent all that money locally are now spending it on online services that curate your box that they send to you. And that money, it's good that you're sending it to craft beer in general, but damn, I'm just curious, like, I kind of wish there was a local one that did it, that could just bring it to you. You know what I mean? Within a radius, but you know, that's getting really awfully specific and a low profit margin and a lot of other complications.
Yeah.
It's a dream, but you know, it's not something I've really played or put my money into to figure out if it's worth it or not, kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm getting off subject now, but
no, I don't think you are. This is a, I don't, so I guess to talk to your first point, you know, we have these beer and alcohol delivery services like Drizzly, you know, they put out a basic app and basically they're just a middleman, right? All they do is they accept payment, they throw a hefty fee on top of it, and then they pass your order on to the brewery, and then a beer store, a liquor store, whatever, they put your order together, and then Drizzly just delivers it for you. Haven't had the best experience with them. I've tried it once. It was a very bad experience. It was very clunky. It literally felt like it was just a middleman passing words on when I could have just called the liquor store, asked if they had it, put it together, and then just come and pick it up themselves. But there are breweries, Bearded Iris, for example. Bearded Iris is starting to deliver in the Davidson County area. So there are breweries that are adapting and learning to adapt by saying, okay, if you're in the area and you want this, we'll deliver it to you. You know, we'll bring it straight to you. I think that was more out of necessity because they were trying to find ways to be unique because nobody, they weren't able to open up and sell beer at the time. But now that they're open again, they're kind of continuing that. So I'm curious to see if other breweries are going to follow suit, or if now that they're just allowed to open slightly, they're just going to rely on people walking in to buy their beer.
Yeah, that's a curious thing. I forgot about that. I'm so used to not being in Davidson County, but I am in Davidson County, but I'm on the extreme outer edge of it, so it still doesn't work for me for those kind of deliveries. But it's a smart move, I think, for the brewery themselves to deliver it. That's cool. That's awfully convenient, Mm-hmm. But still, I don't know about that profit margin. That's where just going directly there is still probably your best option. For beers I can't get my hands on, I'm digging the online ordering thing, but it's kind of weird. But I think getting into this discussion, where I want to go is alternative to what we're talking about currently. So if I get my delivered packages, I think I'll bring it up at that time.
There you go.
It's curious. It's just a weird state of affairs going into the new year with the expectations we have adopted from 2020 and going into 2021. So I don't know. I feel like this year, just ran off the top of my head, we're not going to see as many collaborations. We're not going to see as many things unless they have a really gigantic, like last year we had, the All Together and Black is Beautiful. Those were super strong recipes that people were able to adopt, replicate, sell for a good cause, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm curious what this year brings. So as far as local collaborations go, though, I don't think we're going to see much. Everyone's kind of trying to just keep things together, Yeah. That could be a new beer. Keep things together. But, hey, that's stealing an idea, I think.
Yeah, it is.
So, as an aside, that 8.5 has hit. I didn't have a good lunch, so it's hitting a lot quicker than it should have.
Well, I believe it's probably time for a rinse break anyway. Kind of let things slow down a bit, and we'll
let's just summarize real quick. Go support your local folks, regardless if it's beer or not. Go out there, spend your dollar, and put it where it counts.
Right? Perfectly said. Right.
So I'm going to prep another beer, but oh shit, we're skipping a whole thing. Sorry. Scatterbrained, but I'm not drinking that beer from Bearded Iris, but I love it. This beer, the Alive in its Jaws, was delicious. It was earthy. It got a little bit of hoppy and bitterness at the end of it. The more I drank it, it was a lot earthier than I expected it to be. I don't know if that was because of the Sabro hops or not, but I'm not very familiar with Sabro, however you're supposed to say it. They don't list the hops on the beer can, so I know there were two others on it, but I'm very curious is Sabro that strong or what flavor profile wise when it comes to the hops. That being said, the next beer I've got on deck also has Sabro in it. Sabro, however the fuck you're supposed to say it. But I'm ready to get into it after our rinse break.
Yes,
what about you?
Be. No, I think mine was good. Grand Prismatic from Trim Tab. Mosaic Galaxy Montuca hops 6.5%. It was good. I enjoyed it. I think that there are, again, it's a little bit more bitter and not as juicy as most other Trim Tabs that I've had. So I don't know what I was expecting a little bit more juiciness to it. Not to say that it didn't have that flavor profile, but I was expecting a little less bitterness for an IPA that Trim Tab typically produces. Not to say I didn't enjoy it. I definitely thought it was a great beer. I would definitely drink it again. But the beauty of Trim Tab beers is every time I go to my local joint, which we'll start talking about in the next segment, every time I go to my local beer joint or bottle shop, they always have something different from Trim Tab. So there's no need for me to go back and try something like this again, even though I would. I don't have to because there's always some new Trim Tab where I go. So I enjoyed it. It was very good. On to the next Trim Tab.
Hell yeah. All right, time for our rinse break.
We'll be right back.
All right. I got rinsed, man.
Man. Yeah, sounds like you got both. You got another beer ready to roll with you?
I do.
Oh, what are you drinking right there?
So this is the 50,000 Comments by Midnight. I feel like there's a story behind this one, but I don't know it.
Probably. That's Solemn Oath. I'm looking at your screen, but this is another one that we picked up when we were in Chicago, I believe. It might have been just a bottle shop when we were in Chicago on our way to Munster to get our Dark Lord beers, right?
It was. I wish I could remember the name of that bottle shop. They had a very eclectic mix of beers, meads, and I think there were some liquors in there, but their focus, man, there was a lot of beers.
Yeah.
And I was super surprised by Chicago having as many breweries as they did.
Yeah.
Years ago when I went, there weren't that many. To my knowledge, but apparently it fucking blew up just like Nashville has blown up with their local breweries. So,
and not just breweries, but bottle shops were everywhere too, and restaurants. Restaurants were, the places that were open. Chicago is a little bit more closed off than say Nashville is. But the places that were open, were outside seating, but they had a good amount of local craft beer on tap that, you walked into a bottle shop shortly after and it was just a small brewery or a medium size, microbrewery that you could buy their cans from, but you would never think that they would be on tap somewhere at a restaurant. They always seem to have good selection in Chicago at the restaurants we went to.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. I loved everything about Chicago, especially we stopped by an outdoor patio for a quick bite, and they had several beers that we were surprised to see, but I can't remember the name of the beer that DJ thought was, whoa, they didn't advertise it. They have it at the bar talking about it or in the bathroom, but it wasn't on our menu that they printed out for us. But there was a beer that we didn't expect to have, but it was amazing.
I can't remember it. Do you remember the name of it?
I don't. I'd have to look. I think we all checked it into Untappd, but yes. I don't remember the name of it. It had either a T-Rex or Raptor or something on it, right?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, it was delicious though. I remember it being juicy, hoppy, and unexpected. Because we had both variants available. We had what was it? I don't even remember the style now. The one on tap on the menu was I think the normal one. And then the hidden secret, if you knew about it, was the other alternative form of it. I can't remember what it was now. I'm trying to think what it was. They had several cool cans there that I didn't expect though, and they were all local stuff, I think. Yeah.
I'm looking right now to see if I can find it. I don't remember. Was it an Illinois brewery? Was it an Illinois brewery, or was it just something that we found while we were there?
It was something we found while there, but I couldn't say if it was a brewery that was there or not that the drink came from. This is where, if DJ was available, we could get a quick response from him. But this would have been around, what, was it September?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, right now, while we're both looking that up, I've got the 50,000 comments by midnight. It's from let me look here, Solemn Oath. I think this is going to be the first beer I've had from Solemn Oath.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with them. Their can art is really rad. It's hard to explain. There's a lot going on, but they throw in some little blurbs about or with copy that is kind of like a comic strip, but without the panels. And all the art's blurred together as you on this wrap around the can. It's a sticker slapped on a black can, and it's like a lady clutching a bunny, holding a phone, and over her eyes there's a message saying you've gone viral. And this demon is jumping out of the phone, just lunging out, wrecking her place. She's got dirty cans, crushed cans, open cans, dirty socks, cigarettes, ashtray, and leftover food plates everywhere. And this demon jumps out, and it's like 50,000 comments with everything kind of spilling, melting, or rushing towards the label of it. And it's got a shrug emoji of the Aussie typing. It's not like an emoji like a picture, but it's the Aussie format. The beer is still hitting me on my pronunciation, but it's like shrug, congrats, double hazy IPA, 50,000 comments by midnight. So I don't know what kind of nightmarish thing they're expecting with 50,000 comments.
There's a lot going on.
Yes, there's a lot to unpack from the label, and I'm sure there's a story behind it. So I'm curious where the inspiration for this beer and the can art came from. I feel like there might have been a challenge behind it, but it's a 8.5 alcohol by volume beer with, they list it here on the cans, Citra, Sabro, and Lotus hops. Another one I'm not familiar with is Lotus hops.
Okay.
So the foamy head has pretty well dissipated at this point. I poured it, then I poured it, then I poured it again to fit it into this glass. The foamy head doesn't stick around as long as that last one from Alive in Its Jaws from Half Acre Brewing, but it's just as juicy looking. Look at that.
It looks really good.
It's super orange.
Yeah.
It's, Alive in Its Jaws had more of an earthy tone to it. It's kind of browner, but both are hazy. You can't see through them. Alive in Its Jaws had sediment that had little specks of sediment in it. This one, I don't see any yet. Nothing floating around, but maybe I just can't see it.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm very curious. I'm gonna go ahead and take a sip and get into it.
Absolutely. I'm looking at mine. Just kind of while you're taking your sip. Well, it looks like you're enjoying it a lot.
Whoa. Major difference. So,
yeah.
Half Acres, Alive in Its Jaws, is apparently super earthy, as we were talking about it previously. And this one, with Citra and Lotus hops along with the Sabro, it's sweet. Not sugary, but lighter. It's a lot lighter. So it hits me with the bitter punch, and then it kind of goes light. So it hits my palate, and then it kind of dissipates, and leaves me kind of like a residue of sweet flavor profiles. It's weird to unpack.
Well, it's also 8.5%.
It is. I didn't expect this much sweetness from an 8.5, but usually I experience those really, really, really sweet things from triples, not doubles. But
yeah,
it's been a while since I've had a double hit me with some sweetness.
Huh.
But I'm curious how it goes as I keep sipping it. But it's definitely, I'm curious now what the Lotus hops might have done, because I don't see the Citra or the Sabro at this point creating that kind of lift.
Okay.
what you got going on?
I am drinking a variant of Founders KBS. So, Kentucky Breakfast Stout from Founders used to be like the pinnacle of craft beer, craft brewery stouts. They would always unveil it at the East Nashville Beer Festival in Nashville. Not the only place they would unveil, but that would be like the first place in Nashville that you could get it every year whenever it would come out. It used to be like the one beer that everybody lined up for to get. And, and over the years, as breweries started moving towards one-offs and single batches of things, yearly releases became less and less of a thing. So I feel that KBS kind of went by the wayside a little bit, and they just didn't keep really originating, and they didn't come out with new stuff. So I think it kind of got left behind. But then, and I don't remember if this has been a thing in the past. I feel like I would have seen it if it was, but I'm drinking a variant of Kentucky Breakfast Stout called Maple Mackinac Fudge. And it is a imperial stout. So it's the regular KBS, but it's got Mackinac Fudge coffee, maple syrup and chocolate, and then it's aged in oak bourbon barrels. So I feel like this is a variant that I haven't seen before, and I've seen quite a few of them this year. I've seen a couple of different other KBS variants, but this is the one that caught my attention the most. And I've had the regular KBS in the past, so I decided to skip on the regular KBS and pick this one up instead. Looking at I lost it on my screen, but I'm looking up the stats on Untappd. 11% ABV, 40 IBUs. This one is going to hit me hard. I pretty much know it. Rich chocolate notes of KBS, which is what you're used to. Mackinac Fudge coffee, and then added maple syrup and aged in oak bourbon barrels. It's a bold new take on an old barrel-aged classic, one that could have only originated in Michigan. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a sip of it real quick because it smells very, very fudgy. There's a little bit of coffee, but it smells very fudgy. The foamy head dissipated rather quickly. You can see it on the screen. It's just a little bit kind of residing on top. But I'm going to take a sip. Whoa. Okay. That is fudgy. That is really, really fudgy.
Good fudgy or too much fudgy?
No, it's not too much fudgy.
You're not fudging it, right?
I'm not fudging anything, Mitch. This is solid. I really, really like this. There's a little bit of coffee there. I can definitely taste the KBS. KBS has a very unique taste, from a imperial coffee stout. I get that on the finish. A little bit of maple syrup. They say it's got added maple syrup, and I can taste a little bit of it. Even if I didn't know from the description, I would have picked it out. But that fudge hits you hard in the beginning, and it just stays with you the entire time.
Sounds like a dessert.
Mitch, this is a dessert beer. This is when I want some Zilla's brisket. Some coffee rubbed, yes, a coffee rubbed beef rib or some brisket or something. This is the kind of beer that would go great with some smoked red meat. Oh, Christ, I'd love to have some. Oh,
dude, those beef ribs were nuts, dude. Coffee rub beef ribs, man.
I felt like Fred Flintstone eating them bitches. That rib was so big.
Yeah.
It was massive. The bone was huge. The meat was tender. You just pulled it right off the bone with your teeth.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to
have
trying
some of
that
right
out
now.
on your new smoker that you got coming in.
I did. So I did get a new smoker. This thing will hold 6 racks of ribs, 20 burgers, or 8 racks of ribs, 20 burgers, or 6 whole chickens or something like that. It's massive.
It's made for your Instagram tag name.
Yes.
It's gonna do some work.
It is going to do some work, and I plan on testing that theory, Mitch. I'm gonna smoke everything I can on it. It says it can hold 6 racks of ribs or 8 racks of ribs. I'm gonna confirm that theory.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
I'll pitch some money in for some dividends.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, that's the thing. We'll come up. We'll make an episode about it. We'll smoke a whole bunch of meats all at once, and then we'll eat it all.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hey, not to deviate, but I did. I know we still have to get to what 2021 looks like, but I'm looking at your screen share right now, and I'm looking at the Toppling Goliath, and I think that was the one that you were referring to, right?
It is. So it looks like I did not check in the other variant of the Pseudo Sue. Toppling Goliath Brewery, I'm not familiar with, but this is something that DJ really picked up on when he saw it when he walked into the establishment to relieve himself, I believe.
Yep.
So they put it and advertised it, in the bathrooms, but not on the papers that they bring you to the table. So it was good insight from him, and then we all ordered a round of Pseudo Sue. Mm-hmm. It's a 4.5% or 5.8%.
5.8.
That was hard, Richard.
Ooh,
I don't know
Mitch.
why that was so hard. 45 IBU, and it is only Citra, I guess, from this. That's what it's saying. Featured hops is Citra and nothing else. So I'm assuming it's Citra hop only.
Yeah.
And it's got aromas of grapefruit, citrus, mango, and evergreen. I'd believe it because it was super refreshing on a day where we were walking around and gathering beer and jumping brewery to brewery just to bring all these beers back home with us. So we were nonstop on the move, masked up and everything, staying safe. But it's just like, this was something that apparently you just can't get, and we were able to get it on draft. So it was a wonderful experience with Pseudo Sue, and they've got nothing but high ratings from people on here. It's another one of those eerily 4 to 4.15 rating beers. And ratings are so random. It's if you're a brewer and you look at a rating and someone goes a 3 out of 5, percentage-wise, that looks grim.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's like right at the middle of the road. I drink it again. Yeah. So, we've talked about it before in previous episodes where our rating system is always like, if it's a 3 or above, we're going to drink it again. And if it's on tap, you damn know well for sure we're going to order it again. Mm-hmm. But anything lower is then, kind of like, well, either, I don't know, the stars didn't align for that one or it was just bad. So it's hard to really distinguish good reviews from bad reviews because of the rating systems we have in place. If it was like a 10 out of 10, I kind of feel like brewers would get a more idea of how well their beers ranked with the populace. But, when you do 5, it really it
restricts you.
If you're a math person and you're a percentage person, or if you are just a statistics person, it doesn't look good when people rate it 3 out of 5. But that's 3 compared to 2, which means I would drink it again.
Right. Yeah, it is a little sideways.
It is. So, but 10's a lot to have someone scroll through on a little bar that goes, I like it for 8 out of 10.
Right.
But, a lot of us, after a few drinks, ratings kind of go on the slide.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, man. Brewers, I would say, if you're listening to this and you're a brewer, definitely don't take it verbatim of percentage or anything. I would just say 3s are good. Anything 3 and above is great, but 2 and below is failure. Kind of. Yeah. It's one of those stupid all or nothing kind of grading mechanics, I think.
Well, and we've had conversations. So like Crazy Gnome, right? When we were with Crazy Gnome and we had a discussion about that, and we asked them. We actually asked them this question, and I can't remember. I don't think it was on the air. It might have been off the air when we were talking about it. But they said that he doesn't look at it. right? He doesn't like to look at his Untappd ratings because he'll look at somebody checking in one of his beers that he makes and give it a 3.5, and he'll go, "Why would you give that beer a 3.5 if you liked it so much?" But he has a point.
And it was heavily style based as well when in that conversation. So, if you're going for a specific style and you hit all the specifics, why would it rate any differently?
Right. No, and these brewers, and I totally understand where they're coming from, because you have a beer and you only want to put out the best, and most of these brewers, and Bearded Iris does this, Southern Grist does it, Living Waters does it. And we're, through conversations and our experiences with Crazy Gnome, and just in many of these other breweries that are around us in Nashville, they're not going to put out a basic beer that they're just like, it tastes okay, let's just put it out there for the masses. They're only going to put out what they feel is beer that they would drink, and we had the same conversation with Proper Sake, when he's coming out, they're so I'm trying to think of the word, it's slipping me, but
everyone wants to make the correct beer that they want to serve. They don't want to, they're not going to serve anything they don't like.
That's what I'm looking for.
Everyone is in the game, as I can see currently in Nashville, are only producing things that they would drink themselves.
Right.
That they are selling, I should say, I guess.
But the reason for that is because it's the reason that craft beer was invented, is they were tired and fed up of these big beer companies going, it's good enough, let's just send it out, somebody will buy it. The whole reason they don't do that, these microbreweries don't do that, and the reason they exist is because they've been tired of drinking okay beer. Right. And they just want to put out their own stuff. So I understand when they see a 3 or 3.5 out of 5 where they just kind of get a little bit, but for people like me, that's good. It's just, I can't rate every beer a 5. I can't rate every beer a 4, but I can tell you that I would enjoy your beer again.
That's right. And that's where I think that 3 lies, or lays, I should say. It's like, I would have it again. But speaking of 4s, if you were to give every beer you liked a 4, that KBS Maple Mackinac Fudge, again, it's one of those 4, ranking 4s. So, it's funny that every beer we've had so far is a 4. But we're sitting here going like, maybe. But maybe our rating system is super more rigid than the average user of Untappd. But maybe we're more Beer Advocate snobby. But even then, I've seen Beer Advocate rate 4 stars on shit that I'm just kind of surprised about. But there are some snobs on Beer Advocate that are hyper specific to tasting notes versus Untappd, where the people just go, it was available and I drank it, didn't like it. So I don't know. There's two different communities. So.
It is. That you hit the nail on the head right there with that last statement. Untappd is social, right? It even says drink socially. Like that is their tagline, where someone like Beer Advocate is more taste, nose, appearance, like it's very unique and it's very limited, and they're honed in on what they're looking for. Untappd is like, hey, on a scale of 1 to 5, rank it, check in your friends, what's the flavor notes, is it bottle or draft or can, and check it in. So it's 2 different styles of drinking. Are you out with your friends? Yes, you're going to use Untappd. If you're at home drinking a beer, trying to understand the tasting notes, you're probably going to be a little bit more understanding, and you're going to think it through a little bit more.
Heck yeah. It's a interesting thing. And I know Beer Advocate's trying to pull out a mobile app as well for all this stuff. So I'm curious what we're going to see once that application is up to par with Untappd's application. I'm curious how the ratings will start to... Are they gonna meet in the middle, or is one gonna be more extreme than the other when it comes to certain styles or beers? That's where I don't know. That's where I'm kind of curious. I might dive. I almost want to create a data sheet. You know what I mean? To compare specific things between the two, but it's very curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shit, I was looking up something here. Sorry. KVS Maple. That's right. Someone was commenting in German. I was curious
German.
what they said, because
Yeah.
I don't think they can get KVS over there.
No, probably not. Founders is pretty widely distributed. You can get it in most places, at least in not just the southeast, part of the country, but you can get it up north. You can get it it's distributed pretty evenly throughout the country.
Isn't it possibly in Canada as well? Because
Can't tell you that.
I don't know either,
know.
because they have the Canadian KBS, like what is it?
Canadian
CBS?
breakfast stout CBS, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just because that's more because it's a maple syrup and not necessarily a coffee based stout.
Yeah. So it's not like they were doing any kind of
They weren't doing
stuff.
it. Yeah, it wasn't specific to region. Translating from German to English, I see.
We got sounds good and haha. Everything else is kind of up to interpretation.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. It's all good. Let's
I was curious. Sorry, that was a deviation from what we were talking about.
you found a review on Untapped in German and you're trying to find it in English. I get it. That's fine.
Yeah. I was curious.
I do want to touch on one thing though, kind of bringing us back around. So you mentioned right before the break, you were talking about how there's not going to be, in your opinion, and I want to kind of focus on that a little bit. In your opinion, there's not going to be as many collaborations this year as we've seen in the past, and with good reason, because COVID is keeping people apart more than they are together. We had virtual collabs, during 2020. Not a lot of them, but we had some virtual collabs. But 2021, I don't think is going to bring as many in-person collaborations as it would have been had COVID not been here, because this pandemic and this virus is keeping the world apart. But I'm curious to know what the footprint or what the roadmap for 2021 in craft beer looks like. Breweries are starting to kind of open a little bit. They're starting to socially distance but be open at the same time. I know Bearded Iris is doing that. There's a line where you have to stay far apart. They're closing off every other table. Masks are required unless you're sitting at your table. Southern Grist is still not open for in-room consumption.
Right.
They are only to go. And then you've got other breweries as well that just seem to be like, they're keeping every table available. So it's an odd footprint to see craft breweries. Some are going all the way back to normal, just wearing a mask, and others are being very very cautious and very stringent and just not allowing on-site consumption. The craft beer community right now in this world is a very weird place.
It is. And I mean, we've had all sorts of different styles come in and out before 2020. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to see what, if anything, comes out of 2021 as a specific style that emerged to bring more people in,
Huh.
What we've oddly seen is a rise in Pilsners in the past couple quarters. So
yes.
I'm curious what additional Pilsners will be present, and if there's going to be some sort of mutation on the Pilsner this year. So that's kind of what I'm keeping my eye on, because I started getting back into Pilsners at the beginning of the first quarter last year.
Yeah.
And
I think, was it Southern Grist that did that for you? The Hoppy Crisp?
They were one of them because they dry hopped a Pilsner. Mm-hmm. And to me, I've never had that before, so it really surprised me and brought me heavily back in. But before that, I was having a Pilsner from somebody, and I was like, damn, that's refreshing. I can't remember what Pilsner it was that really just grabbed my taste buds and drug me back in. But it's a highly specific beer. You can't really mess with that recipe, otherwise you don't get a Pilsner. So it's kind of curious what can a person do to recraft it if possible. But
there have been, I like that you brought up Pilsners, because I'm personally not a Pilsner fan, but it seems like every person. So, and again, this was, I believe it was off after the interview was done, but we talked with Ryan at Living Waters, and we were asking about his style of beer, and he loves Pilsners. And we were talking with Crazy Gnome. They love Pilsners, and I don't quite understand what's the big deal with Pilsners and why all of these people with all of this talent are moving towards something as basic as a Pilsner. But then Ryan hit the nail on the head when he said at Living Waters, he said, there's nowhere for your fuck ups to hide when you're brewing a Pilsner. And that totally makes sense, because if you have an IPA and it ends up being a bad beer, you can dry hop it, throw some hops on top, and you've totally masked your mistake. With a Pilsner, there is nowhere to hide. Right. When you're making a Pilsner, it's got to be crisp, it's got to be clean, it can be hopped, but it's got to be very, very clean, and there's no room for error in a Pilsner. So you see a lot of these people that are big beer advocates, and they're very good at their craft, and then you ask them, what kind of beer do they enjoy when they're not drinking their own stuff? And they go, I love a Pilsner. And it just throws you by the wayside, but it totally makes sense.
Yeah. Pilsners, there's just, I don't know what more you can do as a consumer to this beer to make it more enjoyable. So yeah. I'm very curious. I'm sure you could add like a little bit of notes post-production. Mm-hmm. But that's the extent of my thought. I don't know, man. I'm curious. I'm very curious about what, if anything, happens to Pilsners this year. I know you can dry hop them now, so I know there's more out there, but I don't know.
I'm looking forward to the year, man.
Me too. I'm about at the end of my beer.
Yep. How was it?
It stayed very sweet. I don't think it's had enough time to go bad.
Okay.
To give me that sweetness, the unexpected flavor for the profile, but it's okay. I think I liked the earthy tone of the Half Acre one more, my preference, but this one's sweet, and I would definitely enjoy it on a warmer day. So,
out of the two that you had today, then you would say that the Alive in Its Jaws was your preference out of the two?
Definitely. It was a little more bitter than sweet, and it had that earthy tone that kind of made it more mild in the cut, versus the 50,000 Comments at Midnight that was just like, here's your hops and here's your sweetness, and it just jacked it up.
Yeah.
So I've found out in the past year that I am just not a fan of sweet IPAs.
Okay.
But normal IPAs never get that sweet, so I always like them. Like, think Bearded Iris Homestyle. It's a meal.
Yeah.
And double IPAs I get into, I'm like, okay, these are fine, but I've not really had many sweet ones that mimic the sweetness of a triple IPA that I've really had a crossroads with, where I didn't know if I really liked it or not. I enjoy it for the title, but I don't enjoy it for the taste,
Gotcha. That's a quote. I like that.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, these IPAs. And one of these days, I really need to check the dates of my Dogfish Head 120s and see what we're at, because I think even DJ wanted to do a lineup of them and see how the profiles changed over the years depending on which year it was and the aging that happened. But that
I agree. That would be fun.
Happen. Yeah.
Yes, we need to do a vertical of 120-minute IPAs.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. We'll have to have food on deck for that. I'm not drinking multiple 18% beers with no food on deck.
Hey, you got a new smoker, so
hey, maybe we'll do that, Mitch. I think that sounds like a plan.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can wrap this one up, man. Put a bow on it.
Yeah, I think it was good. I think we've got a lot to look forward to in 2021. I think we definitely have a lot more to look forward to this year than we did last year, because last year kind of caught everybody with its pants down, or with our pants down anyway. And now we're seasoned veterans going from a shitty year into 2021, and it doesn't seem to be lifting yet. But now we're prepared for it. You know, now we're
More
a little
so
bit
than last year.
Yes. Last year was kind of, you know, I went back and started looking at some of my tweets and my posts in 2019 and talking about how excited I was for 2020 and all that. And then just the coronavirus, you know, just kind of came and brought everything to a halt. And we spent the next 12 months just in battle mode, you know? So
we did.
I think we're tested. I think we're seasoned. I think that we've got a lot to look forward to. I think that if 2021 throws us some curveballs, I think we're going to be ready to take it. I think a lot of these breweries as well are ready for it. You know, I think that they've been through the grind, they've been through the grit, and they're just ready to take on whatever gets thrown at them. So I think this is gonna be a good year. Do you have any thoughts on the year ahead, Mitch?
Man, all I can do or say is just, we all know what we make. Put it where you think it should go. And, you know, one of those things is be kind, be considerate. Yeah, you gotta look out for your neighbor when you can. The next year is going to be no joke compared to the previous one. I don't know. A lot of my thoughts are more of a doomsday thought idea, where it's like, drink as much as you can, support who you can. But, you know, surely there's going to be a highlight, hopefully this first quarter, to give a little bit, you know, more of a standing. But, you know, all I know
give us
is that
light in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, all I can do is put my money where I know it can go, that I can help support what I like, what I want to pursue, and you know, keep on keeping on, kind of thing, man.
No, I get it. That makes sense.
I got nothing. Everything's kind of in a terrible state, but you know, in another sense, when we focus on beer, it just means more innovation and more. Yeah, I hope kind of experimentation on stuff, because you gotta get people in somehow, and I'm just curious to see what comes out of this. If I was a brewer, I'd be scrambling, man.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the first thing, but obviously the brewers here know what they're doing, and I'm curious what they come up with. So I'm excited for the new year, but I'm also wary for my own self. But I just know that I'm going to be more conscious of what I do with what I can do. So
I think you hit the nail on the head. 2021 is a year of spending your money locally, right? And just, you know, it's as we kind of come full circle back to the original point of the discussion, which was breweries need our help. You know, and that's not tap rooms, that's not watering holes. Although you want to support locally, no matter where you go, you know, a lot of those places have their ends covered. You know, they've got everything they need, but these breweries that are just trying to brew good beer and they have no way of getting it out, as they're finally starting to cautiously open their doors, I think the 2021 vibe this year is supporting locally and giving the money where you can. So I guess I'll throw that out there in the universe and say, you know, if you have $1 to spend, throw it towards a local craft brewery. Keep supporting them as much as you can. Be kind, be patient, tip well, and hopefully we'll see everybody through on the other side, Mitch.
Amen to that, brother. Throw it to your local favorites, man. We got food trucks, we got craft beer, we got services abroad. So
absolutely,
make a difference.
Yeah, keep spending money. And I think 2021 is going to be a good year for the Foamy Heads. We've got a lot lined up. And I'm excited, Mitch, for the year to come. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep drinking beer, keep supporting local breweries, keep being kind to everybody. Again, be patient, tip well, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Cheers. We're good. I'm just looking for the stop button.
I hope that part makes it into the recording at the end.